This is a massive, massive victory. We spoke about this, that Australia will be looking at wanting to up their net run rate. And wow, that net run rate has really shot up because Australia, I think, were at minus...
they were at minus something.
Minus something, and they've gone into a plus 1.142. So it just shows us what this massive victory has done to Australia. And DK, this points table is now again the Formula 1 table that you were talking about.
Yeah, it is very obvious, isn't it? You can see there's a top of the table clash, and I think the top four that we see today could very well be the semi-finalists. And India could take on Australia, and South Africa takes on New Zealand. That looks like most likely on the cards at this point of time, if New Zealand keep playing the cricket they're playing and if South Africa keep playing the cricket they're playing. But they must have got this massive, when you have these car races, they talk about nitro fuel. I think that's what they got from today's game. A bit of a nitro blast they got, and they've just skyrocketed. Our director just telling me that from 0.193 they've gone to plus 1.1, which is not easy. 310 runs doesn't happen every day, and it is quite 309. In fact, is quite the difference in margin, and rightfully so. They've earned it. They've had a tough couple of weeks. I mean, tough 10 days at the start of the tournament. 2 tough matches, just like what Joyda said. But now I've found a certain mojo with which they'd like to propel forward even more. Maybe another nitrous boost would help them in the future games. But for the moment, they'll take what they have. And the good thing is Pakistan not too far behind. I thought it'll be a massive gap. But the emotional team that Pakistan is, I find it very interesting to see how they move forward in this tournament.
Joyda, you're the professor, the maths professor, history professor, but let's use your mathematical skills. Please explain to us what this points table looks to you like.
No, there is nothing out here. Sri Lanka, England is the last game after which all teams would have played 5. That means all teams would have gone, of their 9 games, they would have played 5. And whatever happens there, you'll see another team going on 4. So clearly what's happened is the top 4 have differentiated themselves. The question here is that there are some teams which are not too far behind. So if England wins this one, they also go 2 and 3 and they win by a good margin, then they also get into that sort of mid-table what we are talking about. But what the problem with the mid-table is, normally an exciting mid-table is when there are 2 and then there are 5 or 6 in the middle and there are 2, 3 at the bottom. The problem here is you have a 4 right on top. Then you have the sort of mid-table which is concentrated out there at 4 points. You'll have 3 on 4 points at the end of this, and you'll have 3 on 2 points. So basically only one who's really, in that sense, Australia, England, South Africa, Australia are slightly ahead. You'll have 3 on 4 points at the end of this encounter, and then one of Sri Lanka or England, Bangladesh and Netherlands will be back down there on 2 points. Now, what will also matter a lot is what are the games remaining for you? So if you look at Australia and say that Australia, who's Australia lost to? Australia's lost against teams they think they'll lose against. So you look at the teams they have an Afghanistan or a Bangladesh, and I'm not counting Afghanistan as a bad team at all, but they'll still say they're easier matches than perhaps, they've done the India match, they've done the Pakistan match, they'll back themselves to beat Afghanistan and Bangladesh. If they win those 2, how many do they have? They 10. End up they're on
5 points.
Yeah. Yes.
5 points. Then one victory among the other countries. With this kind of table, you could it's a very likely scene, especially if India and New Zealand keep winning. 10 points could be a very, very likely qualifying rate with run rate.
Alright, so I think I'm going to give you all a second chance, because we did this before the World Cup started when we asked all our experts who the top 4 are going to be, and I think mostly unanimous answers were India, Pakistan, England and Australia were the unanimous answers, if I remember correctly. But DK, you going first. I know you were very passionate about South Africa. We are halfway through the World Cup.
He's been backing them from the start.
He's been backing them.
Interestingly, Joyda, I actually said the 4 that she said. I just felt that South Africa will be the outlandish choice, but I felt they'll have a good World Cup. But they've really surprised how good a World Cup they're having so far. My current top 4 will be number 1 India, number 2 New Zealand, number 3 South Africa, and number 4 will be Australia. That's the order that I think the top 4 will be in. But having said that, as I said, I gave credit to you at the start of the pre-show, and I think I should say that you said Afghanistan. It'll be great, but yeah. This is my top 4. Yours, Joyda?
See, right now I have to go with you. I would love to see one of England and Pakistan make a serious run at it. Because I feel that otherwise the tournament towards the end will just be, we'll become like like France before the revolution, haves and have-nots, So I want to see that table, it's not just the top 4. it would be really interesting if the top 6 happened. If, England wins 2-3 matches in a row, Pakistan wins a couple of matches in a row, because they are the teams who can threaten. Even if Afghanistan, I'm sure Afghanistan may win another match. But for Afghanistan to win another 3 matches, I think is difficult at this stage in time, in this stage of their development. So I'd like to see England or Pakistan make a run just to make it exciting. But that top 6, that top 4 right now looks difficult to dislodge.
But Joyda, were New Zealand and South Africa in your top 4 before?
No. My top 4, again, exactly the same as him. India, Pakistan, Australia, England. Because England, nobody would ever think that this England would turn up. Nobody would ever think that this England, after 4 years and so much success in white ball cricket with 4 all-rounders, suddenly decided, no, we are going to play specialist players. I do not understand. I mean, England suddenly woke up one morning and said that I want to play like Pakistan. Completely different team. I do not understand what they were trying to do.